This tutorial will be the first part of determining domains and ranges of functions. Now, to get started, let's give a quick definition of what a domain and a range is. The domain is the coverage along the x-axis, and the range of a function or a graph is the coverage along the y-axis. So we're going to start by doing these three equations on the graphical calculator and use the graphical calculator to help determine what the domains and ranges are of these functions. The first function is going to be a linear function or a linear equation. We're going to use y equals 3x plus 5. So we go to our calculator and we graph that y equals 3x plus 5 as before. Hit your y equals, clear out the old function if you have one, plug in 3x plus 5, hit graph. Now if you notice, this is a straight line as it should be. If you look along the x and the y-axis, there are no breakpoints along the x nor is there along the y-axis of that graph. Also notice that it extends indefinitely in the positive direction and definitely in a negative direction. So in this example, our domain, which is the coverage along the x-axis, is all real numbers. And the range, which is the coverage along the y-axis, is also all real numbers because there's no restrictions or no breakpoints. For a quadratic equation, we're going to use the example y equals x squared minus 5. We're going to graph this on our calculator. We're going to hit y equals, clear out the old function. We're going to put in x squared minus 5, hit graph. Now notice this is curve shape. This is called a parabola. Again, along the x-axis, you notice there's no breakpoints, and basically it goes indefinitely in both directions, positive and negative infinity. So our domain for this graph, or this function, is all real numbers. However, our range, our coverage along the y-axis, the lowest point on the graph is a minus 5, and it goes indefinitely in the positive direction. So my range on this graph would be from the interval -5 to positive infinity. We're going to now graph the cubic function, y equals x cubed. Again, I'm going to hit y equals, clear out the old function, put in x cubed, hit graph. Notice the graph of this is S-shaped. Okay, again, notice along the x and the y-axis. Along the x-axis, there's no breakpoints, so our domain's going to be all real numbers. Along the y-axis, there's no breakpoints. It goes indefinitely in the positive and definitely in the negative direction, so our range is also all real numbers on this example. This concludes part 1 of determining domains and ranges using the graphical calculator.